After doing this whole design thing for well over a decade now, I thought I'd show you some of the biggest mistakes that I see when people start buying furniture for their homes, some of which I've actually made myself. Storage furniture should be for one thing and one thing only, hiding the things that you don't want to see. Unfortunately, one mistake that I see happening time and time again is people displaying items that actually need storing. The usual culprit is the dreaded shelving unit, and you can be quite certain that like every other infrequently used surface in your home, clutter will accumulate on it. The worst offender I see probably has to be the Kallax unit from IKEA, which I completely understand the appeal of. It's cheap, it's big, and it comes in so many sizes that it works in nearly every space imaginable. The problem is that everyone has one, and its design is incredibly prominent and distinctive, and because of this, everyone knows exactly where it's from and how cheap it is. So because shelving's primary purpose is to display items like books and ornaments, it's really for people who have the space and the items to do so, in which case they probably have the budget to pick something a little bit more tasteful to display their treasured possessions on. If you have a small home like we do and require a dumping ground for your home's inevitable clutter, I'd recommend storage such as sideboards, cabinets, and consoles instead, and I think that IKEA's Besta cabinets are a far better option as they can be configured to provide a huge renter-friendly option, and despite costing more, when compared to shelving, it's far more clean and inconspicuous, which I think makes it completely worthwhile, as there's almost no point of going through the effort of owning nice furniture if the primary backdrop is just going to be a sea of storage boxes and clutter sitting there gathering dust on a shelving unit. Big sofas. So many people make this mistake, it's crazy. You need a sofa, so you look for the biggest one you can possibly fit in your space, possibly a corner sofa or one with a chaise lounge, because if it fits, why not? Big sofas are great for naps, lounging around, or having movie nights with friends, but realistically, nobody ever wants the middle seat. Choosing a massive sofa is potentially at the cost of fitting in other important items like a lounge chair or a side table. So instead of going for a corner sofa or one with a big chaise lounge, why not consider a smaller 2 or 3 seat sofa combined with a lounge chair or two, as this means that you can actually have the option to face the people that you have over and create some variety in the space, which makes your whole home way more interesting. And in doing so, instead of your sofa dominating the space, it can become a part of a family of furniture that's infinitely more pleasant and interesting to be in. I just want to quickly shout out today's sponsor, Narwal. Some of you may have realised that our daughter turned 1 not too long ago, and let's say her early experiences with food have been fun. Thankfully, Narwal sent me their T10, which is the world's first self-cleaning robot mop and vacuum that makes mop cleaning and mopping itself a thing of the past. Instead of the hair-matted rollers that you usually get in typical vacuum cleaners, it has side brushes instead, a little bit like a tiny street sweeper, and it makes light work of the constant food that I now find myself stepping in. However, when these unfortunate spills aren't dry, swapping out the brushes for the mop heads means that the T10 does a great job of absorbing spills and removing sticky spots. And somehow it even knows when it's dirty enough to go back for a clean and pick up mopping where it left off. Which then leaves me to empty the wastewater tank and fill the freshwater tank back up again. Also, because the T10 has LiDAR, it has no problem memorizing and mapping our home or off-roading on our chunky rugs, and even making its way around our forest of dining chair legs, and it's super simple to use too, with just one click on the base station or through the Narwal app. Thanks Narwal for supporting this channel and for cleaning our house, and in case you're interested too, check out the Narwal T10 using the link down in the description below. The old school of thought was that whenever you needed new furniture, you defaulted to getting a dreaded 3-piece suite, a sofa with 2 matching armchairs. And to put it simply, because this choice requires so little thought, it actually makes your home look like that too. I get that it makes sense that if you like a style of sofa, you're going to like the style of chairs that match it, but despite continuity being something that is important in design, when it goes too far, it enters into the realm of becoming matchy-matchy. This happens when there's just too much of the same shape or style in a space, and just like with clothing or food, you're far better off purchasing items that complement one another rather than match one another. With IKEA sofas like the Ektorp, Stocksund and Finala, it can be tempting to get the matching armchair counterparts, but if you really need an armchair, perhaps go for something with a different aesthetic, like something that's more lightweight in appearance that balances the visual weight of the sofa. By pairing different furniture pieces with things like coffee tables and side tables that complement them, this can save your space from feeling like a DFS showroom. And really the thing to aim for is for nothing to match, but for everything to go together. Generic art and quotes. I get it, everyone likes to be reminded about the important things in life, but when it comes to decorating your home, frameable quotes are a quick-fire way to make it feel cheap and generic. And unfortunately, this is because everyone does it, and because it's usually in the same overplayed cursive style, it can make your home feel uninspired and sometimes just a little bit tacky. The same thing goes for wall art. When you've seen a dominant IKEA print a million times in cheap Airbnbs and reception rooms, this isn't something that you want to really bring into your home, as you've probably seen the same image or at least something similar hundreds of times before. And like in-your-face generic quotes, these lack depth and meaning because they're simply produced for the masses, which kind of takes away the uniqueness that art is actually supposed to have. Instead, if you feel the need to decorate your space, go for something a little bit less conspicuous or generic, or even make your own art or print your own photos. I think less is definitely more in this department, and you do want to go for a look that feels effortless and casual rather than polished and eye-catching. So maybe try hanging frames in a random arrangement or place them on picture ledges. And like with furniture, you want to make sure that this is something that complements everything else in the space. In doing this, it allows you to express your individuality far better to actually display something in your home that's a little bit more meaningful, that reflects your own interests, whether that's art, family, or a certain passion. And finally, when it comes to quotes, simply when you see them too often, they lose their meaning, so I would stick to saving them into a journal or an online document that you can refer to when you really need them. And if you really do need a daily reminder, Post-it notes can do a great job that's low commitment until the quote or phrase is permanently tattooed onto your prefrontal cortex.